There's more than just pulling a hide over a form.
On today's Prairie Sportsman, we're in Big Bend to meet a legendary taxidermist.
Everybody said, you got to go up to this guy up by Big Bend. He's a great guy. He loves hearing stories. He'll do a great job for you.
Who's been swapping stories and making magical mounts for almost 70 years.
I don't have that many mounts of my own. I got to do something.
And we always have to budget some time to go get the deer.
Then, we're in the Wilmer Lakes area.
It doesn't hurt sitting in the water. It's already in the water. We're not going to go out and work until we're safe.
To get a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to recover a sunken vehicle.
If it's all the way submerged, we typically mark it and wait for that good ice to work off of.
It is 11:53 right now, and the truck is on top of the ice.
It's not cheap. If we need a diver in the water, how many guys we got, how much equipment we have to bring out here.
Welcome to Prairie Sportsman. I'm Brett Amundsen, and on this show, we try to show you all the outdoor opportunities Minnesota has to offer, along with all the science, conservation, and management behind all these activities that we love to do. We got another great show for you, starting right now.
Funding for Prairie Sportsman is provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, as recommended by the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources, and by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farm, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota, on the web at shalomhillfarm.org.
Hunters in Minnesota love their deer. There's just something about sitting in the woods, chasing those big racks, or trying to put meat in the freezer. Sometimes we take trips, though, and go to other legendary whitetail destinations around the world. Last fall, I had the chance to go up to Saskatchewan and target some of those big-bodied, dark-racked bucks. After a few quiet days of sitting amongst those tall trees, the buck I was after presented himself, and just like that, my hunt was over. I put a message out on social media asking for some recommendations on taxidermists, and one name kept coming up over and over.
I was raised by my grandfather here in this house since I was 10 years old, and he taught me everything I know about hunting, about ethics and safety and the enjoyment of it. And then in spring of 2011, when we lost him to cancer, cut to that fall, deer hunting, I just really was not in the mood for it. I missed my grandpa. I missed telling him the stories about the hunts. Sitting in the stand that morning, this deer walks by, and it's just a nice quality deer. Nothing usually people would hang on the wall, but it's a great deer. And I took a good shot, and it dropped. When I climbed down then to check it out, I did what my grandpa taught me every year. You put your hands on the deer and you thank the deer for its sacrifice, for what it's going to provide for you. And as I did that, I kid you not, I felt my grandpa there with me. He gave me a hug, and I felt so much better about the whole situation. It got me back in the mood to hunt again. So I wanted to hang it on the wall somehow, and I just imagined it'd be a European mount. But everybody said, you got to go up to this guy up by Big Bend, Carl Arndt. He's a great guy. He loves hearing stories, and he'll do a great job for you. So I brought it up to Carl, told him that same story, and he said, no, I'm not going to European mount that for you. That needs to hang on your wall. That's a story you need to tell your kids, your grandkids. Keep hunting, you know, enjoyable like that. And so he did, and it's my proudest deer.
You didn't hesitate recommending him when I asked.
Not at all, no. He's great. He's the only one I'll bring any of my stuff to.
How old are you, Carl?
Oh, just about 84. It's something I really enjoy. I enjoy hunting deer. You know how it is when you hunt those things, you know, they can be pretty crafty, you know. And well, I started out, my first deer I ever shot, I was, like I say, I was 23 years old when I shot my first deer, and I got him with a old recurve bow with bought homemade wooden arrows from a guy, and after that, I've been a dedicated deer hunter. There's no two deer alike, you know. You can, they're not all record book bucks, you know, but there's no two alike, you know. You look at the horns and 8s, 10s, 12s, you know, they're abnormal points. Or you look at them, you know, some different angles that they come out of the head and different lengths of brow tines, and it's just, I don't know. As far as the taxidermy thing, I really got interested when I was 10th grade in high school. That biology teacher had a science club, part of the extracurricular there, and there was a good a guy that was very good bird taxidermist there, and I really got interested in that.
So how many years have you been doing this then?
Been doing it since 1956. How many of that ever?
1956?
Yes.
Wow.
67 years or something like that.
Holy smokes.
So
He's done 5 shoulder mounts for me for whitetails, and I have 1 antelope that I shot out in eastern Montana that he did, and I want to say a dozen European mounts. This year, my daughter shot a nice 10-pointer, and it had a broken brow tine on it. But it was just a European mount, but I brought it up to him middle of November. I said, Carl, is there any way you can get this done so I can give it to my daughter for Christmas? Both European mounting it and fixing that brow tine. So I got you. He took care of it, and 3 weeks later it was done. I picked it up, but that's not real.
Oh, wow.
And he's just an artist.
well, that's what a lot of customers say. They like my mounts. I've had that compliment many times. People appreciate the detail that goes into it. There's more than just pulling a hide over a form. Once it's brought here, then I have to cape it out, take the skin off the skull then, and then we have to do the fleshing process, and that's almost half of my time involved in a mount, is fleshing and thinning the hide, getting the hide thinned down. When I get them fleshed out, then I usually salt them down, and then I let them dry out. And then when I get ready to tan them, I put them in a solution where they're regenerated again. And there's things we have to do to get the form ready. You know, we got to cut the mouth slot in and drill out the nostrils, and then it's set the eyes. Well, the ears are turned inside out, and the cartilage is totally taken out of them too. So, being we use plastic ear liners, then it, they get inserted in there. So, I mix up some epoxy, and I put a little bit red tempera paint in there to get it a pink color, and it eliminates. I don't have to paint the ear when it's done.
Basically, it's going to look like this once you get it on, essentially.
Yep, that's the same form.
What's the purpose of this then?
It makes a little, not such a sharp bend right in the neck there. It's no special reason, I guess, but
Makes it look a little more natural.
then it gets a coating of hide paste. I'm making myself a mount.
Oh, are you?
On one of these. I don't have that many mounts of my own. I got to do something. Hold the hide on the form and set the antlers and go from there.
When somebody brings in a deer head, what's your goal with that?
do it just as good or better than the last one I did. It's whether I'm doing it for somebody else or for myself. Just I try to do the best I can, I guess. Once it's totally dried down then where the pins, we'll be taking pins out as it's drying then, and we do a small amount of epoxy around the eyes. We tried to get the little deal right in the corner of the front of the eye. The nose pad on the deer is fresh, very, very thin. When it dries onto the form, you lose all, it dries smooth. There's no texture there. If you look at the deer, you see the little bumps. We'll replace those bumps. And then I usually go with a little row of bumps all around the bottom of the eye here too. I haven't really kept real accurate, close deal, but got pretty close to 30 hours into a deer head. And you tuck them lips in there, it should come hair to hair. You look at some mouths, they don't tuck it in enough. That takes care of that part for now.
It's funny how you got to get a hold of him. You only can call him at lunchtime or after supper, because he's in that shop.
No cell phones and no internet.
Nope, it's all old school for him. It's amazing how he keeps all that stuff together, and his notebook's awesome. Just jot your stuff down on this little spiral notebook, and you wonder how it's going to get done and how he's going to remember your deer, but it's your deer every year, and it looks fantastic.
Well, just got word from Carl that the buck is finished, which is great. That was a really quick turnaround. It's just in time for the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic. So let's go over to Carl's and pick it up.
He's awesome. He is. He loves hearing the stories. That's the first thing he asks me when I bring in a deer. Which stand was this one in? Was your daughter with you this time, or did your wife finally beat you? He's great at remembering stuff from previous years, from previous stories. And yeah, he's funny. And we always have to budget some time to go get the deer, when I went to go get my deer this year, my wife is like, well, are you gonna be home for supper then? Like, yeah, I should be back. But he's always fun to talk to, that's for sure.
So cool.
I guess to get to the point where I'm at as far as the quality of the mount, that's what I enjoyed.
When you first put that post out there that you're looking for somebody and I recommended him, somebody said, I heard Carl's retiring, and my heart sank. I'm like, no, you can't lose a guy like that.
I don't know who started that, but
You're not quitting anytime soon.
I ain't. As long as I can still thread the needle, I think I got no intention to quitting it. Probably till the good Lord takes me, I guess. I'm just fascinated with deer.
Using taxidermy to preserve these animals is more than just putting something on the wall. It's preserving a memory, and we all have different ones from over the years.
The memories that we have as far as growing up on the farm and hunting and fishing and the things that we've done, it's memories, really good memories.
It's winter in Minnesota. What do Minnesotans like to do this time of year? Go ice fishing. But you have to be safe about it. Ice is never 100% safe, and today we're going to show you what happens when a vehicle goes through and what it takes to get it out.
We are doing an ice recovery on a 2006 Chevy 3/4 ton pickup.
Well, we're in the Wilmer Lakes area. We're not too far from town here, and as you can see behind me, there's a truck about half submerged in the water, and Seedline Towing's got all their gear out here. They're putting it all together. Now, this is a long process. It's 8 guys. It's going to take a few hours just to get the gear assembled and put it together, because you have safety to consider, and then you have a lot of factors at play here to be able to hook that truck up and get it out.
We pull up on a lake, we walk out with an auger right away. You can generally walk up from the direction the vehicle was coming from. You know the ice held it to that point. And we'll check around the back of the vehicle, and we'll check around the front of the vehicle. And it's generally, you know, you have your good ice, and then from there forward it might be bad ice for a ways, and then it builds back up again.
Most of the crew is assembling the pontoon and the winch and all the gear there. There's another guy in the water cutting the ice around it and getting ready to hook up the truck.
God, you're heavier than my kid. Yeah, hanging on.
Just so you know, this isn't how we normally do it. But today, since you're here, we'll put on a show.
Yeah. Unhook the winch.
Just unhook the winch. Leave the shackle.
Hold on. Don't grab his back. I'll help Matt on the way out. Where are you going? Go this way. Yeah.
It's the same process if it's where it's at now or if it's 30 feet deep in the water. Once the pontoon is erected, we get it over the casualty.
The soonest we can get out there is, we can do them right away, but the main thing is to have suitable ice around the casualty to be able to work off stable area. It can be done either way. If it's all the way submerged, we typically mark it and wait for that good ice to work off of. The DNR does give you 30 days. If you report it, they know where it's at. We work off of those terms with the DNR, communicate with local law enforcement to extract it usually.
Law enforcement called us roughly about 7 o'clock last night. I believe they sent rescue squad out here, but everybody was out by the time they got out. We'd like to see it as soon as possible. I mean, it doesn't hurt sitting in the water. It's already in the water. We're not going to go out and work until we're safe.
Once they've got the pontoon over the hole, it's time to hook up the vehicle. If it's too deep, they'll send a diver down to hook up. In this case, they didn't have to, and Jason was able to hook it up himself.
Wheels suck, Josh.
Yeah, I know.
I can't get my fingers in there.
When you're down there, what are you trying to hook onto?
I like to go for wheels. It's the most outward point of the vehicle, so when we're winching up, we're not pulling into fenders and doing any more damage.
So these are hooks that go like this.
Yeah.
So we're going to be pulling.
They're not a full loop you're pulling on that ear. If it goes down, it goes down. It ain't going down to the bottom.
Blame this all on my father. He should have told me to go be a doctor or a lawyer. I
You should have learned how to listen.
This winter has been very unpredictable. I mean, we've had the cold, we've had good ice making conditions, but every one we've done, you talk to the locals on the lakes and they've never seen ice like this. Just this year alone, I believe this is our 7th or 8th one that I've been a part of. If you're in a vehicle on the lake, have your windows down. I've never seen a vehicle go from the top of the ice to the bottom of the ice fast enough that you can't get out. Generally, if they go through, the front goes down first and they'll sit, and that gives you your chance to get out, and eventually they'll slide in the rest of the way. Pay attention to the ice. Basically, the ice will talk to you when you're driving across it.
One thing to consider when you come driving out on the ice is to set yourself a track on your GPS. That way you've got a safe track back, particularly if you're coming out in the dark. But if something bad were to happen, you can mark where your vehicle goes through.
I thought I was on the shoreline. It was that peninsula there, as you saw, and Well, I started getting farther. Oh, that's the other side of the lake. I knew where I was at. I looked over, I saw the landing. I went to start turning, and then ice started flying up from my tires. I was in four-wheel drive, so it was kicking up, and then I just kind of knew what was happening. It was like slow motion. I mean, I was only moving 10, 12 miles an hour, and just slowly sank in. I hit the bottom.
Then once it goes down, what do you tell them? They call you guys, call insurance, call DNR? What do you think, Sheriff's Department?
Usually they call the Sheriff's Department. Yep, the Sheriff's Department will reach out to us, the DNR. They'll get the proper authorities involved. Yep. Big thing is keep track of where you're at if you can, or where the vehicle is. You know, this one, obviously, you could walk to the access and see it. Most of them, if they go all the way under, on a day like today, that hole will freeze over. You won't even know.
All right, so I got one here.
We went off the tow hooks on the front and the hitch on the back. That's good. It's not as stable, but it works well if you can't get through wheels. Jason couldn't get through wheels with his thick gloves, but wheels are the strongest point of a vehicle, so that's what we go for normally.
So when you see a truck that's half out of the water like today, are you like, piece of cake?
Yeah, I was kind of bummed. I wanted to get in. If it was 20 feet down, I would have been pretty happy.
Okay, we got that hooked. Run that one in a little bit. You want to lift back now or what?
If the front will stay put, then it'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, let's lift the back.
If we can get the bumper above the ice.
Yeah, lift the back up. Keep dead manning.
That's a matter of cutting a hole and throwing a big timber down there like that and running a couple winches.
A dead man system is what we call it. Sometimes we do 2 holes and then do a bridge across to get more, depending on the ice conditions. We're in good ice here today where we're sanding, and we were able to use a 1 8x8 post as our anchor point to extract it back out.
Dead man.
You didn't go at all.
You feel fully trucks in the ice.
Today was a good one. There was good ice in back of us. Sometimes we don't have that. I mean, sometimes we're winching it 200, 300 yards before we can unload the truck. So.
We've had some very difficult rescues this year. We had a snow bear fall through Lake Sarah down in southwest Minnesota. And with the tracks and the situation, they were traveling across the water, across the lake at night, and ended up entering open water. And they're meant to float. In this case, they had a hole open in the bottom. And when they exited, they didn't go through the roof hatch, they went through the rear door. So the unit took on water and it wasn't buoyant anymore. We probably should have waited to do that one to have better ice to get it up onto, because we had to break through about 150 yards of bad ice to extract the casualty.
When we designed that pontoon, we are able to float 53,000 pounds with the buoyancy of the pontoon, and we can lift 40,000 pounds.
Can't pull.
The wheel should roll up over that edge.
That's great, positive.
Well, that's quite the process right there. We got to the shop at 9:30, followed the guys out here. It is 11:53 right now, and the truck is on top of the ice. So once you have everything hooked up, the process goes fairly easily, I guess, but it's a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of time put into how that process works to get this job done.
It's not cheap. Side-by-side is different than a pickup is on time. If we need a diver in the water, how many guys we got, how much equipment we have to bring out here. We've done some as small as $4,500. We've had them reach up to $35, $40, sometimes even $50,000, depending on how long we're out there.
This year alone, I think I have $1,500 just in upgrades, and we got to keep up on that stuff. You know, with the cold water conditions, you need special regulators, and then the new ice suit.
The biggest thing is when you're planning on entering onto frozen lakes, know what you have for insurance coverages. We ran into a few cases this year where they assumed that they had coverages to recover their vehicle when it falls through, mainly on the UTVs. So if you're writing those things on an inland marine or a farm policy, in those cases there's exemptions and exclusions on what is covered because it was intended to use for a different purpose. So if you plan on taking your new side-by-side or even your used ones or whatever you're going to take out on the lake to go enjoy a day of fishing, you might want to check with your insurance agent, make sure you have the proper coverages if you end up in a situation like this guy did.
Once a vehicle is on the ice, it's up to the owner to decide what to do next. Depending on what your insurance is, the tow company might bring it to their salvage yard and then you don't have to deal with it again. If you're going to try to save the vehicle, it can become your responsibility to get it to a place to get fixed, or you can hire the towing company to bring it there for you.
We're gonna tow it out. I got a buddy with a shop about 15 minutes from here and get it warm, and I'll do the things I need to do that try to get something out of it.
While there are companies like this that can rescue your vehicle, it's up to you to be responsible on the ice. Be safe and enjoy another Minnesota winter.
Catch Prairie Sportsman on demand. Watch anytime at prairiesportsman.org on the free PBS app or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Prairie Sportsman. Don't miss an episode. Watch on demand today.
Funding for Prairie Sportsman is provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, as recommended by the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources. And by Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farm, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org.